Hey everyone, in this video I'm gonna very quickly go over all the tank related changes in the Necrom chapter that's currently on public test server. We'll start off with the new item sets. Sadly, in terms of 5-piece sets, there's nothing worth going after. The heavy item set from Overland grants health recovery, which is a mostly useless stat. The heavy item set from Sanity's Edge Trial grants you major protection and major ages for 10 seconds if you fall below 35% HP while being below 50% stamina. If you were above 50% stamina, you instead become a beacon of hope for 20 seconds, making your major and minor buffs also grant major ages for 10 seconds. And this effect can occur once every 1 minute. Controlling this set would be a nightmare because you'd have to carefully drop yourself below 35% HP, and then on top of that, the uptimes on it would be awful because it has a 1 minute cooldown. It's honestly just a straight up Wars of Rolls command. On the upside, the mythics are actually good. Esoteric Environment Greaves is finally a good defensive mythic for a tank, especially for dot heavy fights, and I've made a separate video about it. Crypt Cannon Vestments transfer your ultimate points to your teammates. Personally, I haven't found it useful so far in trials or in regular dungeons, but I think it could be really useful in some niche scenarios, like for example burning dungeon bosses. Your DDs could use Destro ultimates at the beginning, and then you could grant 166 ultimates to each one of them with the Crypt Cannon mythic, and they could immediately use another cheaper ultimate, for example Incapacitating Strike. Keep in mind that this mythic disables sets that give effects based on ultimate spend, such as Saxil or War Machine. Minor Heroism and Minor Maim granted by the Heroic Slash ability now last 15 seconds, up from 12. Nunatak's Major Brittle now applies on enemies that have been damaged 4 or more times by the set, rather than only on the 4th hit, which means that the Major Brittle will last 2 seconds longer. All melee abilities with a range of 5 meters, such as for example Pierce Armor, have had their range increased to 7 meters, which basically means that every class will now have the melee range that Dragon Knights already had, thanks to the Elder Dragon passive. The Elder Dragon passive itself will no longer grant increased range, and it will now grant 259 health recovery per Draconic Power ability slotted, rather than 5%. The synergy from Sorcerer's Storm Archnak ultimate now grants Major Berserk for 10 seconds, up from 8 seconds, and grants it to all 12 group members, rather than only 6. This is a massive buff for Sorcerer tanks. It won't be stronger than Horn on its own, so it won't be that useful in dungeons, but in trials it could function similarly to Necromancer's Colossus ultimate, with how it's being paired with the Saxil set, and being cast after Horn's major force runs out. Templar's Focus Charge now grants major protection for 4 seconds, and its Morph, Explosive Charge, grants it for 10 seconds. It's very unlikely you'd want to use these over Revealing Flare, but I still wanted to mention them. Templar's Rune Focus now heals you for 6% of your max health per second while you're standing in it, up from 4.5%. And it also continues to heal you for 2% of your max health per second while you're outside of the rune. The Tri-Focus bug, which I've talked about in my previous video, is being fixed. You will no longer be unable to block after switching your bars when one of your resources is almost empty. Ozazan's bug with the armor not showing up in the stat sheet is finally being fixed. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.